On today's episode of That Was Us, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 9, Number 2. Kate and Toby experience a sudden change in their lives' trajectories, and Rebecca is supportive of Kate's aspirations to become a singer. Rock and roll. Welcome to the doggone That Was Us podcast.
Happy to be here, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. Oh, what an honor.
We are in a, my guest.
The hot seat over there, it feels like.
Today is Sterling K. Brown.
Talk about Kate's episode.
American actor of film, stage, and screen. So we're in episode number 2 of our first Big 3 trio of
Correct.
episodes.
Yes,
Yeah.
the trilogy.
We talked about Kevin last week.
Yeah.
This week, it's all about Kate.
We're talking
Actually,
about
you're
Kate.
kind of in the hot seat
talking
for
about
this
Ka-Toby.
episode. Ka-Toby.
It's interesting because they kind of expand in that way.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin's is kind of just Kevin.
Yeah.
Then this one is, because we're both parts of couples, right? So then
Yeah.
we expand to Kate and Toby, and then it's sort of like
And I
Beth,
survived that heart attack.
Randall, you survived the
Which
heart
means
attack.
I get to weasel my way into the Kate episode.
You get to stick around, big man. So we start off again with that montage of the home videos from when they're babies, seeing who's going to walk first. And it's interesting, though, because in other words, saying, come on, number 2, come on. Do we see her walk, or is she just kind of standing?
She kind of stands.
She's kind of standing. And I don't know if that's on purpose in terms
choice.
of how they use the edit, or if it was just like the little baby just didn't feel like going nowhere.
That's
I
right.
believe it was the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember in this, at the beginning of this episode, you see Jack, and as I could tell because I know him, Milo, jump behind this baby and do like these hand motions like, go baby, go baby, go baby. And the baby just stands there.
Yeah. You know, it's
Yeah.
hard to get little ones to
Sure.
follow direction,
It is.
obviously.
Amen.
So do you guys want to do sequential? Do you want to take the past storyline or the present? I always like doing the past
Yeah, let's do the past.
Yeah, let's
before
start
the
in the
present,
past.
right?
Let's live in the past.
because we've seen in the past there's a day when Coach from Pitt is coming over to the house to visit Kevin. In the first episode, number 1, we saw Kate listening to headphones,
Yeah.
just kind of sitting, chilling.
With her
and
dog.
we see Randall filling out an application
Yeah.
for Harvard,
That's right.
I believe, but he's about to go on a road trip with his dad.
And
to
this
go visit
series,
Howard.
this series of episodes is the introduction of this dog.
It is.
Yes.
This dog.
Have we
Yeah.
not seen the dog before?
Yes, well, I don't think we've made the connection yet, but
Right.
this is the same dog after Jack and Rebecca had their date night where Rebecca was trying to
Right.
Jack Pearson him.
Yes.
This dog is like in their
Right.
front yard eating out of their garbage or eating. They went and got burgers and
Yeah,
Rebecca
yeah.
sort of like tossed the bag
Tosses it,
behind her.
yeah.
And as they're walking back in the house after their conversation, this dog is eating the remains of
There you go.
that fast
Yeah,
food.
and I don't know what breed of dog this is, but it looks perpetually homeless.
Mangy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the
He's,
coat.
he's a scrappy guy.
Yeah,
Have
he's
we
a scrappy
combed
guy.
this dog? Does anybody
Nobody
do
combs the
any
dog.
grooming for
Nobody
this
combs the dog. Just, but the dog is an important. It becomes a very important character in
plot
This
line.
Is Us.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Moving down the line.
But so yes, this is the same night, a
Same
different
night.
perspective.
Different. It's from Kate's perspective, and we've come to find out that the tape that she's listening to is her audition for the Berklee School of Music.
Yes.
And she wound up doing Summertime. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but we come to the lights go out, and she asks the dog not to pee because the dog gets nervous very
Yeah.
easily, and
Yeah.
then the dog pees, and so she has to clean the pee up, etc.
Yeah.
And
Quick.
oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, you do it. 'Cause
No.
Are we about to talk about the same thing?
No, I don't know.
Let's
Are
go.
we?
One,
So she goes
two.
to clean up the pee, and she's wiping the dog.
She's like dabbing the dog.
and
right?
I'm like, what? In God's name,
what are you doing?
the piss stain is upstairs. And she throws the dog and is like
On the couch.
dabbing this dog's penis. And I'm like, what? And Rebecca comes in and says, please. It
Don't do that.
doesn't say, please don't. What the hell are you doing? It says, don't do that on the couch. I was like,
A living room couch.
that's not, you don't need to clean up the dog.
With the
dog-
bounty. I like, is this like a piece of bounty that we're just like.
The dog did
tapping
not,
on?
the dog did not
Pee on that couch.
on the couch or
But
on
did he
itself.
pee on his belly? Did
No,
he just go,
no, never has there been a pet mistake where people are like, we gotta bounty this dog. And I gotta know on set, like, who gave that direction? Because that was not her.
That was Ken Olin.
That was Ken.
We're gonna
Ken was
have-
like, I think Ken's never owned a dog, and Ken was like, I think what you do is you flip the dog over and you give it a little pat on its private parts with a paper towel. I think is what you do. Anyways,
I cannot. I did clock that. Was like, that is strange.
It was weird the
What?
first time I saw it. And she's like, she's just,
she's
like, what are you doing to this dog?
yeah.
Also, it's like, yeah, I remember thinking, like, that's your dog. You love the dog. She's.
It's right,
like-
right to call it out. So,
Yeah,
right to call it out.
I'm glad we discussed
I was
it.
going to say that Rebecca is prodding Kate to give her some
Yes.
to fill out her school applications, to choose 5 different schools that she maybe wants, that she's
Right.
interested in investigating and applying to.
Yeah.
And Kate is very unfocused.
Very, yeah.
She kind of brushes her mother off, and we come to learn that's because she already has a plan in place, which is to apply for the Berklee School of Music.
Yeah. You and how we find out, you go up into the room after she leaves with the dog, right? And you just sort of rooting around a little bit, straighten up, fact-finding mission that parents will go on from time to time. Believe me, as they get older, every once in a while, you're like,
I need information.
what's going on with this kid?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You see the application, you see the tape, and you play the tape. And guys, help me with this montage, because there's her singing over, and are we flashing back to the present?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
where Kate is.
So we
singing
can
present day.
come back to that, because we're sort of blocking it. But it's a really beautiful
Yeah.
sort of montage, right? And also just this idea that, like, oh, my daughter is singing again. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
how can I be of service and how can I help? Now, this is interesting. Quick anecdote. My son, I go to my oldest son, Andrew. He has 2 advisors, and his 2 advisors are like the drama teachers at school. So the 2 advisors are
Like an SNL sketch.
they are heightened and explored. They are
it.
beautiful
love
people,
it.
right? And so they'll say, like, we'll have Andrew in class because for one of his electives is improv or something like that from last year. And they're like, Andrew's kind of good. Like, he has some of the best ideas in improv that goes. And, like, we try to encourage him to come and audition. And he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, Andrew's a jock.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea that he would do something like that. But it reminds me of this storyline, because I talked to him and I said, hey, man, I heard you're actually pretty good when it comes to, like, the theater games, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, yeah, so. And he's like, was there anything that you would ever consider doing? And he said, point blank, I will never do the same thing as you.
Wow. How does that make you feel?
Not bad.
No, of course not. But like an interesting leap.
Very,
Like
right?
to jump to the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
He's like, not even will I tread along that path, because I think that path leads to comparison. And the idea that I would ever have to be compared. It's like, Bronny James was okay to do it for some reason or another.
Yeah.
But Bronny James will always be compared to the greatest basketball
player of all time,
who's
yeah.
ever played.
It's unfortunate for him.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it makes me think, Kate keeping it from you, was it also just sort of like, listen, if it doesn't go my way, I don't have to discuss anything. Like,
100%.
nobody knows
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah.
But if you in particular, right, know about it, and I fail, then, like, there's this thing that exists now that I could have tampered.
Isn't that the entire reason Kate wanted to keep the pregnancy secret as well?
Sure.
It's like, you want to keep the stakes as low as possible because
Yeah.
they are exceedingly high. So not telling anybody will in your line of thinking will somehow mitigate, like, the pain of disappointment if things don't end up going your way.
This is a big theme in our industry too.
Yeah.
The delayed joy.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because we as actors have learned to kick the can down the road where it's
Sure.
like, I'm not going to get too excited.
Right.
I've heard him being considered. Okay, I have
Yes.
a callback. Not going to get too excited. Okay, I got the part. Okay, I'm not going to get too excited. Not until I'm on set. When I'm on
Right. Let me
set,
sign this contract.
when I'm on set, I'll be excited.
Sure.
Okay.
When it comes out and we see if people even
when
like
it comes
it.
out. When it comes out. Okay. Okay. If we get another season, I'll be excited. Next thing you know, 6 seasons have gone by and you haven't enjoyed any of it.
Yeah.
Because you've been waiting to be excited about it.
Yeah. There's something to it, but I'm wondering, like, in terms of like when your mom is known for something,
Sure.
right, and you have a passion for that same thing, like, do you keep it close or do you open yourself up to that? And different people make different choices, right?
Yeah,
Clearly makes one to sort of keep it to herself, right? Then you wind up sort of at the football game. And let me know if I'm missing anything in between.
I don't think so.
You guys are at the game and very sweetly just hand her $50 and you're like, for your application fee.
Yeah.
And she's like, you went through my stuff? And she's like, look, yeah, I went through your stuff. I saw you were doing this thing. I wanted to help, so here's the money. And you were so sweet. Like, it's interesting because I'm waiting. It's like, is Rebecca going to say like that wrong thing that makes
she
it go?
doesn't.
And she does not.
For once.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, it was so sweet. So I think you have a real shot.
And I think it was really terrific.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think you have a shot.
And she says, thanks. Right? So it's very cool. That happens right before Kev has his injury.
Right.
And she has to go call dad, et cetera.
Yeah.
Is there anything with them once they get to the hospital from Kate's perspective?
Yeah, you guys have a conversation in the lobby.
We
Yes.
do. In fact, it's quite sweet.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, and now having a daughter, I'm like, oh, this is so interesting now to sort of think about it from this perspective.
This is so good. Yes, please go.
No, you go.
It's, well, because you talk about this whole thing, and you have to fill it in about what parenting is and how, you know, you've seen how things were with me and my mom, and she was always sort of like closed off. And I always just wanted to be open and available to you as a mom, have my arms open so when you need them, I'm here. You can fall into them. And sometimes you may feel like as if you won't, but my job as a mom is to just keep the arms open for when you are ready. Right? And it's such a sweet and thoughtful thing. And I want to connect it back to...
We will.
Yes.
Connect it. I heard this morning we were speaking of parenting. There was two comedians talking, and it was this Irish comedian who I love very much, named Tommy Tiernan, who was talking about parenting, and he distilled it down in a way that I was like, yeah, that's it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Which is that it is a parent's job to provide shelter.
Yeah.
Of all kinds.
Sure.
Physical.
Right.
Emotional. Financial.
Yeah.
Spiritual.
Yes.
And whether or not the child needs it is up to them.
Yes.
But they need to know that it is always there.
That is...
And I was like, that's it.
Tommy T nailed the tough part as a parent. You always want to give it, whether they want it or not.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to just sort of like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And not get in your feelings about whether or not they're like looking for you or not. Just be like, I'm here.
Because having those things allows them to develop as wild and free and autonomous beings.
When you know that you can fall back to that shelter. Yeah. Right? It gives you the freedom to kind of spread your wings and become your individual.
More That Was Us after this short break.
So my kids have been going on and on about where they want to go for spring break this year. Beaches, road trips, all the fun stuff. Maybe go on a ski trip. Maybe go to an amusement park. Who knows? It's got me thinking about how we can make the most of our time away and even our home while we're gone.
That is such a great point. Hosting on Airbnb is one of those things that just makes sense when you're traveling. If your home is going to be empty, why not let someone else enjoy it, especially now? Think about all the people coming into town for big events like this week's game. That's the perfect opportunity to help someone find a place to stay while you make the most of your time away.
Totally. Families, friends, even big groups are looking for a home base where they can come together. Your place could be just what they're looking for. It's comfortable, personal, and way better than being scattered across hotel rooms.
So whether you're thinking about your next family getaway or just making the most of your home during busy travel weeks, hosting on Airbnb is a great option.
Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. This year, there's nothing holding you back from loving your hair again. Hair is so much more than what you see on the surface. It's a reflection of what's happening inside. Let Nutrafol target the key root causes of your thinning hair and help you grow stronger, healthier strands from within.
What's great is that Nutrafol has a formula for everyone. It's personalized to your needs. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
Thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and women that are tailored to different life stages, such as postpartum or menopause, and different lifestyle factors, such as a plant-based lifestyle, so you can get just what you need.
And Nutrafol makes it easy with their subscriptions. No prescription needed, free automatic shipping, and you save up to 20% and get access to perks like free naturopathic doctor consults and a Headspace meditation membership.
While many supplements rely solely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests final formulations to ensure their efficacy. In a clinical study, 72% of men saw more scalp coverage after taking Nutrafol Men Hair Growth Supplement for 6 months, and 68% of women saw improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol Women Hair Growth Supplement for 6 months. Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code TWU.
Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TWU. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TWU. Seriously, you owe it to yourself to try Nutrafol. We love it, and we think you will too.
Okay, so that's that last little beautiful thing.
Should we jump to the future
Yes.
and then we can tie it back in at the very
Yes.
end?
we
Sure.
should.
Yes.
It opens with Kate and Toby, and Toby's on the couch,
Yeah.
and Kate's like, "All right, I'm off to my gig," and Toby's like, "Excuse me, I thought are we gonna sit here and be upset about the miscarriage that we just had?"
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I'm gonna go do my thing."
Wait, hold on.
You guys have to have the.
Wait.
Yeah, you're skipping over the.
Prenatal vitamins. Jumped.
buddy.
Yeah.
Wait, what did I miss?
Well, just the fact of her suffering.
she has
the
not had
miscarriage.
it.
Yeah.
She hadn't had it.
I forgot. We can cut all that out
Yeah.
and cut out my misstep.
No, it's all good.
And then-
Totally fine.
And then,
Yeah.
It's totally fine. You're like, wait a minute, I jumped away.
so we open.
So we open.
Yeah, all of those things.
They're
all of those
making
things.
her list of questions that she wants to ask her OB so she doesn't forget anything.
Yes, that's right.
But you see genuine enthusiasm
and excitement. It's palpable.
happening for her with this baby.
Yes.
And them.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody
Collectively,
in
yes,
the
it was very
Damon
sweet.
Pearson household
Yes.
is getting amped about this thing, right? So then
She goes into the restroom.
she goes to the restroom to do so. Oh, she wants to measure something for the
bathtub.
The bathtub.
thing that they want to get to wash the baby. And you see Toby's listening from off camera. And off camera, we hear a
She
thud.
yells Toby. Yeah.
And yeah, she yells Toby.
She yells Toby. She yells Toby. And there's a thud thing before
Yeah.
and yells Toby, right?
Yeah.
Cut to the hospital, right?
That's right.
A lesser show would have had to explain
A lesser show.
everything that had happened. But we see, and it's over montage, right? There's not like a direct,
You
there's a
kind
little
of,
bit of talking.
a little bit of the doctor explaining what's
saying
happening.
that like, well,
yeah.
you guys can try again. You were
Yeah.
totally healthy, et cetera. And you just see two people in shock.
Yeah.
Right. And we as an audience, or let me say me as an audience, start to feel like, okay, because the joy was just so palpable and exciting for me, you're like, the rug being pulled feels all the more sort of dramatic, and you just hope that everybody is going to be okay. That's what I had this feeling of like, I hope they're going to be okay. They go back to the house, and I see Kate putting on makeup, like she's getting dressed or something. She's got this red dress on.
And here's what's happening. Toby is on.
Toby's sitting on the couch.
Thinks
that
they're about to have a day of being sad about what has just happened to them.
Yeah, having a little grief party. But it doesn't even, the way that you sort of put forward, it seems generous and like, we need a moment to process. But it doesn't sound like it's a pity party. It sounds like we collectively need a moment to just sort of deal with this thing. And she's like, no, I got the gig, and if I cancel on them, they may not call me back again. And you're like, are you serious? Like, it's barely been 12 hours. We just went through this thing. And she says, and this is something that I want to talk about. I went through it, Toby. Like, I lost the baby, right? And I'm so curious. Like, and Mandy, I'd love to ask you this question. Like, when you are pregnant, and it is obviously you that is having the baby, do you enjoy hearing your husband say we versus I? Do you have any feelings about it one way or another?
In fact, I was just telling you before we recorded. Yeah. My husband and I were watching the show last night, this episode, and both later in the episode when Kate says, I was pregnant, like, you don't understand, I lost the baby. And when Chris goes through his explanation of like, I understand, like, I physically wasn't carrying the baby, but I lost the baby too. We both were like, oh, like, yes, of course. Like, the fact that she didn't acknowledge, that never bothered me. Like, yes, you are in it together. Again, someone that is physically carrying the child, but both people, both your partner, you're in it together. And I very much, I never was like, felt weird about that.
Okay.
What about you guys?
What's that? I just said she's having a baby.
I had nothing to do.
I'll say like, if I feel, my wife is a very particular person too. So let me be clear in saying that. And also let me preface, Ryan Michelle Bethea, I love you. But I feel like anytime that I'll try to sort of like, try to be in partnership with her during those times, she'll be very clear. It's like, oh, are we pregnant, Sterling? Is that what we're doing right now? And I'm like, sorry. Like, so I'm always sort of like.
There was a little bit of that.
Always trying to find what the balance is through those moments.
I totally understand that.
So Kate does go to sing. And it seems like it's going well. And then she sees this mother and daughter, Black woman and her daughter.
This is the beautiful montage that you were talking about.
This is the beautiful montage that is happening where we hear summertime going on. And so we don't hear Kate actually singing. We hear summertime. We hear young Kate. And we see her seeing this mother and daughter, the mom just sort of smiling at her daughter as she's dancing and listening to the music and whatnot. And you see Kate's like, I can't take this, right? So she says, I got to get out of there. She walks out.
And real quick on that montage, that's Hannah singing, right?
It is Hannah singing.
It is.
Really beautiful.
I
gorgeous.
know. She
really
has a
gorgeous
great voice.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
All three Kates.
Yeah.
Or two Kates. All three generations.
Yeah.
They sing. And so she decides to go for a walk. And then she comes upon a buffet.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? I'm going to go eat, right? And it's interesting because while I don't have the same issues as Kate with regards, but far be it for me to say that I have never emotionally ate. And it's interesting how it is. It's just all of a sudden you're like, it will make me feel better. I don't have to think if I just keep putting something in my mouth.
There have been moments in my life where I, in my head, essentially say, I'm going to go use ice cream. Like someone would be like, I'm going to go use a little cocaine. Like, I'm going to go use ice cream.
Sure.
I'm going to eat a pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And so you see it filling up that plate. Now, it's interesting because there's two different plates that she had one plate that was like that. And then it cuts to another plate, in which I'm wondering, did she eat the first plate or is one plate supposed to be the same plate? And she ultimately walks away.
I think one plate was supposed to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. She ultimately winds up walking away from the plate. Meanwhile, Tobias realizes that this bathtub, he's sitting at home by himself. You see him walk by the bathtub with the shower curtain. Ken does some gorgeous things here because we flash back a couple of times to 12 hours prior. and sort of like Kate in the bathroom at one point in time, reaching for like the shower and it falling and then her falling down, and then it's quiet when it happens. And then you see Toby coming into the bathroom a little bit later on and sort of comforting her.
I actually noticed it was a really quiet episode.
Yes, I have that written
as far
there
as
too.
score goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a lot of silence in the house post this event.
Yeah, which makes sense, and it was very, very poignant, right? So he's at home by himself and he realizes, how do you realize that the thing is supposed to be coming to the house, the tub thing?
I walk out to the garbage cans and I a classic like male response to the situation. I guess I'm going to throw away this
shower curtain. Yeah.
And this shower rod.
I blame you, shower rod and curtain, instead of fixing it.
Yeah.
Throws it away and gets a notification. Ding, your baby bath will be delivered tomorrow.
Yeah. And you're like,
and he goes, oh, damn it.
This is the last thing that I need to
And
come
off
to
he
the crib.
goes. Yeah.
So you go to the distro center of where
Yeah.
it is and whatnot. I see that I've got this thing coming.
Yeah.
I need to intercept this package before it gets to my house. My wife's had it really bad. And the guy's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I don't think it's here. We haven't sent it out yet. And says, I can't help you. And this is I'm curious, how many times you got a chance to do this in terms of the balance of it all? Because you can't come across like, I'm about to bash your motherfucking nose in.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a man who needs something very much. And I am big.
Yeah, I need you to do this.
You know what I'm saying? So like, how many different takes did we go? And did we ever go hotter? Did we ever go under?
We didn't do that too many takes, but I think the last one, Ken was like, and just do like a super hot one.
Okay.
So we have it. But
Okay.
I think we both knew that was just to see it.
Sure.
Just to live it.
Because we weren't going to use
Right.
it. Yeah.
But the guy was cool. You wind up
Yeah,
walking
very
through and you can't find the thing. And then it's just like, God, man, I'm going to go home. This thing is going to be delivered. It's going to bring up so much. And I'm always like, the banging on the steering wheel is
I hate it.
is an actor thing.
I hate it.
That we all have to do at one point in time. And when you're younger,
Yeah.
you'll do it with a fist.
Yeah.
But he was older and it was with an open hand. And
Yeah.
I say this because you will jack your fist up
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so dead good. And maybe this is a dude thing.
I was like, yeah.
No, but guess who did the fist on the first take?
You did?
Yeah. Which is why I was hitting it with open hands, because my hands like, ouchie, ouchie. Also, we were just talking with, what were we talking about? Oh, we were on that radio show the other day. We were all doing an interview, and they were asking, have you ever seen a moment that you wish you could do better?
Sure.
And that was it.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Also, the way that they edited it
Yeah.
was, I didn't know it was going to be edited like a joke. Because the way they edited it was like, oh, this guy has been standing there watching me do this. And I didn't play it that way.
Right.
And I wish I had leaned into that a
But
little more.
I think it played great.
I agree.
I think it played fine. I'm just
He's
saying,
like, if
I
you wanna
saw
know,
a moment,
I would've
and
done
I was
that
like,
different.
this is what I would have done differently.
Okay. Fair enough. Respect that.
Yeah.
And it was cool because then you're like, do you have a baby at home? He's like, no, but my sister is about to have a baby. And like, do you like
I
her?
love that the writers put that like, do you like her?
Yeah. Does he answer or does he just kind of,
He was
Yeah,
like, huh.
you know?
Like, kind of.
Well, whether you like her or not, man,
Yeah.
give her
Give her
thing.
this baby
So-
bath.
It's really nice. It fits in most tubs, I guess.
Yeah. It was great seeing.
And then he gives let's shout him out because I'm sure he's on our
Shout him
sheet
out.
here. Jason Rogel.
Jason
Carl,
Rogel.
right? Carl.
Yeah.
I am a large and powerful man. And then at the end, he delivers that really nice, I'm really sorry if something happened,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is about
that's
all you
sweet.
can say
That's-
as a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you go to pick up your bride to be because you said that you were going to pick her up from her
And
her
she's
music
not
gig,
there.
and she's not there.
Not
and
there.
it's interesting because I saw this from both perspectives simultaneously of her just needing a moment, leaving the mom and the daughter that she had seen, and then remembering that you said that you were going to go get her, knowing that your beloved just had a miscarriage, and you wonder what her state of mind is, and not being
Or state of
able
health.
to find her. Both of those things, right? And so you wind up trying to find her. You can't find her. You call. She doesn't answer.
Quick shout out to her band leader, Jason Michael Snow, big Broadway guy, the guy who was her piano player.
cool.
Oh, get out of here. Shout out to him. And you guys don't reconvene until you get back to the house. And you're like, where were you? And she's like, I took a walk. And that feels like completely and totally satisfactory from her perspective, but you're like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here wondering where you are, not knowing anything, you know? And it's in those moments in which you decide not to answer because you need time to yourself.
Yeah.
Like I understood her not answering, and I understood him being upset for her not answering and not letting him know where she was.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood her not answering that call.
My call.
Yeah.
The mom call.
But it's a different thing if you're just wandering downtown Los Angeles or wherever you are.
Yeah, at least
your husband
to like,
and your
I love you. I'm okay. I don't really want to talk
yeah.
about anything right now, but I'm walking home. I left.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
Just to check in.
But it sort of sets the table for what we were talking about earlier, them having it out. And if you should take this because you kind of went through the whole thing. Talk to me about this scene.
As we talked about or will talk about with Chrissy, fights between Toby and Kate were hard for Chris and Chris.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Because there's no distinction for Chrissy almost. You know, like when she feels it's immediate.
It is. Yeah.
And so when I get to saying hurtful things and I see it being so effective, it's just very painful.
Yeah.
And this particular conversation was also, like you were talking about, that tricky balance of I need to express myself here.
Yeah.
But I also know that you've been through a lot in the last 12 hours.
Yeah.
We've had, I'd had little moments on the show that had switches, but this episode was like a big dramatic kind of turn for Toby, you know, as far as like, no, this is where I stand.
Right.
This is who I am.
Right.
And it's not all levity.
Yeah, it's not all Hootie and the Blowfish dancing around the coffee shop.
Yeah.
You have moments like that throughout. I think this is one of the strongest ones. Like Toby has this ability to articulate what he's feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
That I think most of us as grown-ass people hope to be able to achieve.
Yeah. The writers gave him that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because like, you know, because this is the moment again where she circles down, you're acting like we went through something, like it was my body. Kate says like, this is something that I went through. And you're like, look, I recognize it was your body and I recognize this, but like to say that I wasn't a part of this, that something didn't, I'm feeling sad too.
Yeah.
So whether or not it happened to my body, like you have to be okay with me being sad too. And that I cared and I continue to care.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with more That Was Us. Life can pull us in so many directions, kinda like our characters on This Is Us. And when things get hectic, finding time for yourself isn't always easy. That's why we love Peloton. Peloton has the convenient and varied instruction we all need to stay on track. You can find whatever you're looking for. If I want to focus on upper body, there's upper body workouts. There's glutes and legs workouts. There's core workouts, right? You got boot camps. You have runs. You have hikes, biking. Whatever it is there.
Whether you're into Pilates, boxing, marathon prep, or just need a good stretch or meditation sesh, Peloton has a class for you. They've got something for every vibe, every goal, and all three of us look for different things in a workout, but we can always find it on Peloton.
Some days, I want to challenge myself with a tough boot camp. Other days, I just need a 10-minute walk or a calming meditation. Peloton gives you the ability to choose what you need, whether you're pushing yourself or taking it easy. And let's not forget the instructors. They are the best motivators out there. It's fun to imagine which instructors our characters would connect with. Like Randall, who's always pushing himself, would probably love someone like Robin Arson, while Rebecca might go for a more soulful yoga session with Aditi Shah. Allow me to give a special shout out to my girl Jess Sims for the dope Sim 60 that she always brings the pain on. Adrian Williams with the Thunder 45. I love you guys.
And the class lengths are perfect. Whether you've got 20 minutes between meetings or just enough time to sneak in a quick workout while the kids are napping, Peloton fits right into your day.
It's all about finding your push and your power, no matter what season of your life you're in. And with Peloton, you've got the variety and motivation to do it all. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. And so it ends. not resolved, right? Like it's still sort of dangling at the end of it. And we go to the next morning, and Toby's already out of the house, and he's left a note for Kate saying, "Need some air, be right back," something like that.
Yeah.
And this is when we dovetail to the past, and Kate and Rebecca just had this sort of beautiful explanation about like what parenthood is and sort of like holding your arms open for your child to walk into if and when they need them, etc. And there's a knock at the door, and you think Toby may have left his key and he's coming back. And you open the door, and this was one of the biggest cries Brown has had in this day. When my mama comes walking through the door.
This was me at the airport. This is me at the airport, eating my lounge food, crying. Be like, is that
Chris Sullivan from This Is Us crying?
Watching This Is Us? Crying? Eating airport orange chicken?
Listen, sure. It sure is.
A lot of mistakes were happening in that story.
Mandy, it was so beautiful because it was so simple. Like, it wasn't like you needed to ask what she needed because she had called you on the phone earlier,
and
I should say, and said, "Mama lost the baby," and you kept asking. She's like, "I can't talk about it too much more. I love you. I'll talk to you later." Boom. Yeah. Right? And it's just like Rebecca just said, "I'm getting on the damn plane."
Yeah.
And making moves. And you open the door and you just open your arms and you just hold your baby. And she just
crumbles.
Melts.
Yeah.
I know the microphone's blocking my face. She just melts. It touched me.
It touched me too.
To my core.
Yeah.
So we move forward then from there, and just her sort of Kate talking to you about it and how she's feeling. And don't let me jump over anything. Like,
no.
I feel like I took this away from Toby. Like, and you talk about Kyle.
Yeah.
And what it was like to live through that loss, and how the doctors asked you, let me talk, you talk about it. I'm talking about this thing that you did.
She implores Kate to share her grief with Toby because she did not share her grief with Jack for a long time. And she said, it came out sideways. Like, I found myself at the grocery store, like, having a meltdown over yellow onions because I wanted to make your dad a pot roast.
Meltdown was good. That was good.
Yeah, it was just like, she was like, you have to share your grief because basically it's not just your grief, it's his grief too. And you guys have to, have that connection and be in community with each other about what has just happened. And I thought it was just, it was an interesting, this whole episode, you're really seeing, obviously, it's Toby and Kate, but you're really getting an inside glimpse into Rebecca and Kate's relationship, which we explore so extensively over the course of the series. And it's like you're starting to just have more colored in for you about the trials and tribulations of a mother, like you said, just trying her level best. She just is trying to be there for her daughter at every turn. And really, that's what that entire sort of like soliloquy in the hospital was. Like, we just never got there. Like, calling a spade, like, it was always easy with your brothers, but you and I, like, no matter what, we just can't connect. There's always something in between us. But like, as your mom, I'm always going to be there. Like, my job is not to judge that, is just to be there with my arms open. And I think, again, like, as a parent to a daughter now, I was like, wow, it just has me thinking about mother-daughter relationships in a very, profound way that I just haven't been able to, wrap my head around yet.
They're different, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Like, and something in my head tells me they shouldn't be.
They different, being mother-daughter versus mother-son, or what's the they different?
Being like, I feel a different type of relationship with Bear than I do with Aoife.
Yeah.
And neither is better or worse.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. You're one of the few, you guys are two of the few people that I have in like friend groups that have at least one of each. A lot of my friends, we either have all boys or all girls.
Okay.
Right? Which is sort of interesting in terms of how we work through the world as parents. But I'll say, just as two boys that you had, they're so different.
Yeah.
Sure.
they're like completely their own sort of
Sure.
thing. And I don't have the little girl to sort of compare to her. So
You're going to be Uncle Sterling.
I'll be Uncle Sterling.
Yeah.
But so from that conversation that you have, she does have a conversation with Toby.
They come together and they both talk about how they want to try again.
Yeah.
Like not immediately, but they're going to, and they are not going to let this break them.
Yeah.
I feel like something I edited out of this episode because when Toby comes in, he does not look happy to see you.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was a short scene in this where it was like Toby had like teen Kated up a little bit because it's something that she said to him about not wanting to talk to you about
that
it.
feels vaguely familiar.
Right? About like, do you want me to come? No, don't come. And then you come anyway. Like, or something.
Really?
Yeah, because.
I came against
and it might be
your
wrong.
wishes.
Yeah. It might be wrong, but I come in with a weird mood.
Well, I always
and I was
thought-
like, either that's a wrong choice, Chris.
No.
No.
But I also think like you came back, you needed some space to sort of clear your head, so you didn't bring that energy to your lady.
Sure.
And you're expecting to have a moment alone with her, and you're like,
Sure.
Oh, your mom's here?
Sure.
Well, it totally works.
It
But
totally
I
works. It
do
totally works.
feel there's
But
something
it
about
made
that
me
that
flash on something.
Yeah. You might be right, because that does ring a bell
Yeah.
a little bit.
That's interesting.
There were Rebecca and Toby had, they had their moments.
Sure.
Did you?
So yeah,
I mean,
Really?
it was just like.
it wasn't unfriendly, but I think in the beginning, initially, like Rebecca was slightly dubious earlier on.
Okay.
Of Toby,
Rightly so.
Rightly so, and Toby was a little dubious of Rebecca, and
because Kate essentially
exactly
told him to be.
They had a complicated, they had a
Right.
complicated relationship. So I feel like there is something about what you say that does feel plausible.
Yeah.
Always so respectful though. I never saw him like do anything.
No, not disrespectful, and he has
Okay.
great boundaries, and he
Yeah,
sticks
yeah.
up for his lady. And
There's that whole thing
but
like,
has respect
whatever
for
you're
her.
trying to do, I'm Team Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The thing that I remember from that moment, because I'm always wondering if Rebecca will read the room based upon previous encounters with Kate, right? And so
Right.
as soon as you come in, she's like, I'm going to go around the corner to that coffee place. Because she knows
They have to have that
these two
conversation.
people need to have a conversation,
Yeah.
right? And what I remember then, and fill in any gaps or whatnot, you guys said, like, we will try again. Not immediately, but we will. And you see her smile. You see you smile. We go out to the shower curtain. We pick it out of the trash. And I was wondering, should we rinse this? But they just hang it right
I mean,
back.
technically, it's a shower curtain, so it will get rinsed.
It will get rinsed, I suppose.
They're hanging it up together.
Side note, me and shower curtains. That thing when the shower curtain sucks into your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
I have no more shower curtains in my house.
Yeah.
But that's because I've reached a place in my life where I can afford not to have shower curtains in my house.
You have a glass
That
shower door.
sticking onto my body thing
Yeah.
where I have to keep pushing it off to
Yeah.
wash.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. Thank you.
It also means that you have great water pressure.
Yes.
Creating that vacuum to pull the.
This is true.
There are things to be grateful for. That's
This
all
is
I'm
true.
saying.
Amen. So that's the end.
That'll make the retread segment.
That's the end of that episode with, again, cutting back to the final home video thing about we're about to see number 3 begin
Yes.
his walking journey. And
Something tells me in real life, Randall would have walked first.
Randall probably would have walked first.
100%.
Yeah,
And then taught the other two how to do it.
possibly.
So we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we actually have Chrissy here.
Yeah.
To chat with
And we
us
talked
a
to
bit
her about
about
this.
this particular episode. We picked her brain a
Yep.
bit. So we'll be back with some Chrissy and more. That was us.
Let's do it. Okay, we're discussing episode 209, also entitled Number 2. And as a special guest, this episode focuses on Kate, and we have in the house Chrissy Metz.
Here you are.
Okay, so we're talking about episode 209, and it's sort of the end of 208. We see Kevin come see Randall, and Kevin's about to tell something to his brother, and we think he's about to say something about what's going on in his life, and Randall says to him, "Oh man, I already know. Kate lost the baby."
Yeah.
And I'm curious because there's been a whole build up to this point of like how you've actually told Toby, please don't get your hopes up about this. Like, I'm pregnant, but like it's a geriatric pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how it's going to go. So until this child is actually out of my body, living in the world, I kind of need you to keep it
Then he
down.
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfished it.
And then he hootie and the Blowfish did, and there was all this
Got his
excitement,
hopes
enthusiasm.
all the way up.
And then the way they told Kevin as well.
Yeah.
Remember with the
Zippers,
Oh yeah,
the
with the
sweatshirts.
hoodies.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
good times.
Yeah.
That was good times.
Yeah.
Question to you in terms of your recollection, if you can make yourself go back in time, like just sort of playing that sense of loss, of not having to have the pregnancy go to fruition. Do you have any sort of memory of what it was like going through?
Yeah, well, first of all, a lot of people have approached me about this particular topic.
Yeah.
Because it's not really talked about, and not the way that we did it.
Sure.
And I think it was very real. And I think a lot of women have this sense of responsibility, like, oh, I'm the one carrying the child. Like, something is wrong with me if something goes wrong. And I think that's a lot of what Kate felt like. Her weight has been her issue all her life. And so, like, could this have been prevented? And like, if she was thinner sooner, could this have been a better pregnancy? Like, and then disappointing her husband, and who knows what's going to happen, and how will the baby, how is the baby's health? Like all of those things that circle around anybody's head, whether they're overweight or considered geriatric or not. I think geriatric is 35 or over.
We need a
35 or over.
rebranding.
We need a rebranding.
It needs a
Yeah.
real rebrand.
That and the BMI. But
Tough
anyway.
word.
But-
I think now they call it advanced maternal age.
Do they?
Which
Okay.
is still, we need a rebranding.
We need
Yeah.
a rebranding. So if
Yeah.
we could do that, guys. It's one of those things that I think every woman goes through, and I've obviously never been pregnant.
Yeah.
But what I sort of leaned into was a real thought of like, what if I do want to have a child, and like how scary that would be if I'm too old now, or I put my body in a position to not have the most healthy baby, and like really internalizing that and making it my own fault. I think that is a really real thing. And maybe for so long I was like, oh, I wouldn't want children.
Yeah.
But not having the option is another story.
It's a completely
Sure.
different
A completely
story.
different story. And that's after like all the IVF and everything else that Kate went through.
Yeah.
And all those, I have so many friends who have gone through that and have not had luck and have spent thousands of dollars, and it's emotional, it's expensive, it's taxing on your body.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So all of those things definitely came into play. And then obviously playing the miscarriage is like, one of my sisters had a miscarriage and she's never talked about it, but after the episode, she was able to, talk to me about it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, like this is amazing. I mean, we're talking about my own family,
Yeah.
So yeah, it really made, I think, an impact on so many people. And whether you wanted children or had one or didn't, or, it was really hard to play though.
Yeah.
I have a dear friend, and it came out around this episode, and around the same time I did a reading of a podcast from the New York Times when they talk about like true love stories.
modern love.
Modern love.
Yeah.
And it was a modern love on a woman who had a miscarriage. And I don't know, like they chose my voice for this thing, because maybe it's from the husband's perspective. I can't remember exactly. But a female friend of mine reached out to me, and she wound up telling me, who has 2 children, and the way her pregnancies went were miscarriage, child, miscarriage, child, miscarriage. And she's like, how difficult, and the shame that she felt for herself is something wrong with me? Exactly what you're talking about. But like in terms of how often it is represented and how oftentimes that shame keeps you from putting it out into the world, but then just seeing that somebody else went through it and that it wasn't just me, that this is something that
I have to say before, if anything, like what we discovered in the process of preparing for the episode, I think there's 1 in 10 pregnancies are a miscarriage.
1 in
1
10.
in 4 or
1 in
something.
4? It's even
Yeah, before
higher. Oh, wow.
before the
Okay, 1 in 4 now.
It's
Very
so much
common.
more common than is depicted
One
in
in
the
4.
world,
Wow.
is talked about. There is still so much stigma around
Yeah.
it. Like you said, the,
So much
the
shame
shame
and
that I
guilt.
think women
Yeah.
feel.
It doesn't feel like anyone's educated on how to talk about it.
Right.
It doesn't feel like there's a good time
Yeah.
talk about
Sure.
to talk about it, or the possibility of it, or the reality that it is a possibility.
Yeah.
And to be able to have this context to tell it, to talk about it through the TV show.
Yeah.
Is I think what our show does a lot actually is give people the context to talk about hard
Sure.
things.
And the permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you know what Kate went through? Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
gives you like a little blueprint
Yeah.
of sort. Yeah.
There's so much to dive into,
I know.
not just with this episode, but like with the entire arc of your character. I really hope that you can come back and
Oh yeah, of
chat with us
course.
more.
I would love to.
We love you, Chrissy.
Yeah,
Metz.
I
we
love
love
you.
you.
I love you. I love you.
All right. That was that for That Was Us.
Bye.
Welcome to The Retread, brought to you by Peloton. Find your push, find your power with Peloton.
Yeah. This retread, what we talk about. We talked to Chrissy.
Chrissy came back.
She came back,
Chrissy
which
came
was always a
back.
pleasure.
Justin hasn't been once. Chrissy's
Not
been
once,
twice.
but Chrissy's been twice.
Just saying.
We talked about the miscarriage of the
That's
baby,
right.
obviously. It's
That's
very
right. We talked
difficult.
about the incorrect way to clean up dog pee.
We did.
We did. You do
Ways
not
that
dab
just
it
did
with
not
a
make
paper
sense.
towel.
You do
In
not
the
need to
least.
dab your dog.
We do
Yeah.
need to take that up with Ken Olin
Yeah.
because he did
Probably.
direct this episode and let that slide.
Missed that one.
And
Yeah.
all 3 episodes, by
Sure.
the way.
Yeah.
We also told Chris wound up admitting that there was a scene that he would have redone, which was the banging on the car horn.
Yeah.
Felt like
Finally,
Yeah, on the
Gone a
steering
different way?
wheel.
finally found a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, you also made the mistake of punching with your fist
That's
the steering
right.
wheel
That's
at first
right.
before you realized
That's-
like you got to open
People
palm
in
that.
general, when you get mad, just leave your car alone. The car,
There you
didn't,
go.
the car didn't do
Quit
anything.
banging on it. It's
Yeah,
not
quit
that deep.
banging on it.
We saw a couple sort of like going through something and finding their way back to each other. I think it
Yeah.
was really lovely. And not just a couple, but a mother and a daughter.
That's right.
Sort of from the past, having a little bit of friction and then finding one of my favorite moments of Mandy Moore walking through the door to hug her child in her time of need, melting my heart. That was this week's Retread with Peloton. Find your push, find your power with Peloton. That Was Us is filmed at Rabbit Grin Studios and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.
Da 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 dum, da da dum. That was us.